ठीक है, शुरू करते हैं। अबाउट सुपर रिफ्रैक्शन एंड सब रिफ्रैक्शन। वंदना, ओके यू आर हियर, गुड। आवाज आ रही है आपको? ओके ग्रेट। इससे पहले जो भी क्लासेस मिस किए देखिए। चलो जी शुरू करते हैं। सो नाउ हम लोगों ने ये चैप्टर 2 का पार्ट है, जो टॉपिक मैं अभी पढ़ाऊंगा दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ चैप्टर 2। दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ चैप्टर 2। ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट। चैप्टर 2 में there is some phenomena, some adverse phenomena that happen। ठीक है, and these adverse phenomena, they are a result of refraction। These are a result of refraction। What kind of refraction? Let's see। अब अगर रिफ्रैक्शन हमारी रेंज, अगर यही रिफ्रैक्शन हमारी रेंज को कम कर दे रही है, अगर यही रिफ्रैक्शन हमारी रेंज को कम कर दे रही है तो इसे हम लोग कहेंगे सब रिफ्रैक्शन। अगर यही रिफ्रैक्शन हमारी रेंज को बढ़ा दे रही है तो इसे हम लोग कहेंगे सुपर रिफ्रैक्शन। ठीक है, ऑल ऑफ दिस हैपेंस टू व्हाट काइंड ऑफ वेव्स? Space waves। All of this happens to space waves। Okay, yes Sriram?
Can you say this in English? I didn't get it.
Okay, so we have two types of phenomena, adverse phenomena, which happen due to refraction, and these phenomena only happen to space waves, basically VHF and above। Easy? If due to refraction the range decreases, if due to refraction the range decreases, the VHF line of sight range decreases, it is called subrefraction। If due to VHF line, due to some conditions the range increases, it's called super refraction। Okay, super refraction happens as a result of three things: an inversion, a very strong inversion, मैं बताऊंगा इन्वर्जन क्या होता है। ओके, एन इन्वर्जन। ठीक है, रिलेटिव ह्यूमिडिटी इंक्रीजेस विथ हाइट, ये भी बताऊंगा क्या होता है। अगर ये दो कंडीशंस हैं तो देखो क्या होगा। वी हैव धरती माता, वी हैव मदर अर्थ। ठीक है, व्हाट वाज दिस थिंग दैट आई मेड यू राइट? दीज आर द कंडीशंस, these are these are the conditions under which super refraction will happen। These are the conditions in which super refraction will happen। Okay, so let's say so let's say जैसे जैसे हम ऊपर जाते हैं, जैसे जैसे as we keep on going up, we encounter a layer। So what happens to temperature as we go up? You have all attended demo classes, right? So over there you were taught as we go higher what decreases? Pressure decreases। As we go higher what decreases? Temperature also decreases। As we go higher what also decreases? Density also decreases। All of these three things, they decrease as we go up। But if due to some condition, if due to some atmospheric condition, as you go up, temperature instead of decreasing it increases। जैसे जैसे मैं ऊपर जा रहा हूँ एक लेयर आया, उस वहां से टेम्परेचर बढ़नी शुरू हो गई। ऐसे लेयर को हम लोग कहते हैं इन्वर्जन। ये इन्वर्ट हो गया, दिस गॉट इन्वर्टेड, द टेम्परेचर लैप्स रेट गॉट इन्वर्टेड। ठीक है, सो लेट्स से वी हैव अ लेयर This is an inversion layer. What is this? This is an inversion layer. What happens in this inversion layer? It was observed that let's say हमारे पास अब ये ionosphere जैसा लग रहा होगा आपको. आप लोगों को लग रहा है ये ionosphere है. You all think that this is ionosphere. No, this is not ionosphere. What altitude is the ionosphere, Vandana?
$50 to 400.
Very good. But ये inversion ना troposphere के अंदर होता है. This inversion is inside the troposphere. Till what altitude is the troposphere? हर्ष, कौन से altitude तक troposphere है?
400. Troposphere, sorry. 20 kilometers.
No. अनुष्का, मैट पास है आपका.
So, below 50 kilometers. Stratosphere starts from 50 to something else. Can you check with us?
Sriram, troposphere extends till till what altitude?
I don't remember exactly. Somewhere around 36,000 feet it starts, and at equator
36,000 meters.
feet, and
Okay.
and at poles it is at a lower altitude, somewhere close to 8 kilometers.
So this is 36,000 feet means 11 kilometers. Who all have heard 11 kilometers? Raise your hands. Okay, please remember it. So ionosphere is way upper. It is way above. This thing extends near about in the troposphere or close to the tropopause only. Okay, ये सारी चीजें temperature changes they happen in the troposphere. Now, for some reason, in the troposphere, if you encounter an inversion, if a sky waves, he will go everywhere. Na? Sky wave will go everywhere. Sorry, a space wave. Correction, a space wave. This happens to what? Space waves. A space wave is line of sight. It goes everywhere. Now, when it goes up, it encounters this inversion layer. Inversion layer is like Tatmal. It sends it back. It sends it back. So this wave which goes over here like this, it comes back. But now it is very similar to sky wave in the first look, but it is not going that up, and it is in the troposphere only. ठीक है? Point number 1. अब sky wave का क्या होता था? Sky wave used to go up, come down, finish. But now this is above 50 megahertz. It carries a lot of energy. Its frequency is high. It carries a lot of energy. So from the ground also it will get reflected, go up, then again come back, and then again go up, and then again come back. This is called multi-hop propagation. Multi-hop. The wave is hopping, skipping, hopping, jumping. Okay. So what happened? It becomes very much similar to a sky wave. So if this was the antenna and this was the VHF line of sight range, this was the horizon, VHF horizon, an aircraft in normal life, an aircraft below this horizon should not be able to contact this antenna, है ना? वो तो इसके एंटीना के कांटेक्ट में नहीं होना चाहिए, but because of super refraction, see what has happened, the range has been increased. ठीक है? It is like a very exceptional or an exaggerated case of atmospheric refraction. What happens in atmospheric refraction? Wave goes up, it bends out. So this ends up increasing the range, correct? है ना? So this is उसका very extreme case. Okay, and now the complete opposite of this is called subrefraction. The complete opposite of this is called subrefraction. So yes, Akash.
और ये इस वेव के मतलब हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी वेव है ना सर ये?
I can't hear you, buddy. Can you just speak a little louder?
ये स्पेस वेव है सर अबव 50 मेगाहर्ट्ज है राइट?
Can anyone hear him?
तो
भैया वो बोल रहा है स्पेस
माइक कहाँ पे तेरा?
50 मेगाहर्ट्ज।
माइक कहाँ पे तेरा? रुक जा। हाँ।
ये
अब एक काम कर, इसको ले और हल्का ऐसे करके पहन। नहीं 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 नहीं। हाँ, थोड़ा और पीछे, थोड़ा और पीछे, ऐसे। हाँ, अब बोल।
और मैं ऐसा बोल रहा था सर क्या आवाज आ रही है?
थोड़ा बेटर बेटा।
ये रिफ्लेक्ट कैसे हो रहा है अगर हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी वेव है तो?
ओके, ये रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है, ये रिफ्रैक्शन हो रहा है। दिस इज
सॉरी
एन एक्सट्रीम केस ऑफ this is an extreme case of total internal refraction only, just like sky wave. This is also total internal refraction. Now under normal conditions the density keeps on changing in a certain manner. Inversion में वो उल्टा हो जाएगा, so it gets refracted. ठीक है, due to density change, because of change in optical density, it refracts inside. Okay, refraction है, ठीक है. Okay, so now talking about subrefraction. Subrefraction decreases the range. How? This happens in conditions where the complete opposite conditions are the complete opposite conditions. Inversion is कि भाई टेम्परेचर ऊपर जाते 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 बढ़ गया. Temperature increased as we went up. Temperature increased as we went up. Normally, as we go higher, according to the international standard atmosphere, the temperature decreases by 2 degrees Celsius every 1000 feet. We all know this. But this is the ideal atmosphere. The ideal atmosphere does not exist. In real life, the temperature change can be anything. The temperature can be decreasing 6 degrees Celsius per 1000 feet also. The temperature can also be decreasing 1 degree Celsius per 1000 feet also. Real life, it can be anything. So similarly, in real life, here, it was instead of decreasing, it was increasing with altitude. Complete opposite. So it created an adverse condition. Here also, it is the complete adverse condition. Temperature should decrease. Now, here the temperature will be decreasing by an exceptional value. We call it a steep lapse rate. We call it a steep lapse rate. Complete opposite. My love, you went up by 1000 feet. Instead of decreasing by 2 degrees Celsius, it decreased by 6 degrees Celsius. A steep lapse rate. Okay. Okay. I made a mistake here. I have made a mistake here. The relative humidity decreases with all height. Okay. Please make this correction. Relative humidity decreases with height. It is then when it happens. Cool. And steep lapse rate when happens when your relative humidity, that means the amount of moisture content in the air, as you go higher, it increases. What happens in this case? What happens in subrefraction? Instead of getting refracted outside, instead of getting refracted outside, if it gets refracted outside, the range increases. Now, instead of getting refracted outside, it gets refracted inside. It gets refracted inside. So, have a look. I'll take the same diagram, copy. But here, this is not an inversion. This is an area of steep lapse rate. So what happens is, if a wave is going here, पहले क्या होता था atmospheric refraction में, it used to go out like this, so this had to increase the horizon. But now it will, instead of going straight also, it will end up going here. If it is going here, it will end up going here. So अभी क्या यहाँ पे, if under normal conditions the wave would have gone like this, so he would have been in the horizon and he would have received the communication, he would have received the radio wave. उसको रेडियो वेव मिल जाती वंदना, है ना. लेकिन अभी क्या हुआ, सब रिफ्रैक्शन हो गई, तो ये वेव ऐसे चली गई. अब इसके नीचे तो वेव आएगी नहीं, अब इसके नीचे तो वेव आएगी नहीं, क्योंकि धरती माता आ गई, रोक दिया उसने, horizon कम हो जाता है. Now Akash asked me, sir, why does this happen? Why does this happen? See, tell me something, guys. If the inversion is there, what happens to the density, guys? As you go higher, density decreases, right? But if the temperature is also increasing, density will decrease more or less.
Decrease more.
Decrease more, because whenever you heat up something, the molecules, they go wide apart, they spread apart. कोई भी चीज को गर्म करते हो तो उसकी डेंसिटी कम हो जाती है ना, एक्सपैंड करती है वो, उसका वॉल्यूम बढ़ जाता है. सो नाउ आकाश, सी, you are going from a region of high density to a region of low density, right? Now this density is being exceptionally low. So what will happen? This will act like refraction only. Total internal refraction कब होता है? When you go from a medium of high density to a medium of low density, okay, it gets refracted. Okay, it gets refracted. ठीक है, and it bends away from the normal. Over here, what happens? If you have a steep lapse rate, the temperature is decreasing, 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 decreasing. But now in the steep lapse rate, it decreases very, very fast. So it will make the air very, very cold. And if you make something very, very cold, what will happen to density?
Increases.
What happens to a radio wave if it goes from a medium of low density to a high density? It will bend towards the normal. It will bend, instead of going like this, it will bend towards the normal. It is that which is happening only. समझ आया? किसी को चाहिए वापस बोलूं?
One of the two
Refraction
conditions has to, one of the
Yes,
two
tell me.
conditions has to be satisfied, or both has to be there, like relative humidity and the density thing.
Both. The more the merrier.
Okay.
फराद, लो रिफ्रैक्शन में लो डेंसिटी, हाई डेंसिटी, लो डेंसिटी. लो से लेके जब आप हाई में जाते हो तो यू बेंड टुवर्ड्स द नॉर्मल, करेक्ट. जब आप वापस हाई से लो में जाते हो, यू बेंड अवे फ्रॉम द नॉर्मल. एंड टोटल इंटरनल रिफ्रैक्शन कहां पर हो सकता है? सिर्फ यहीं पर हो सकता है. टोटल इंटरनल रिफ्रैक्शन कैन ओनली हैपन एट दिस प्लेस. इट कैन नॉट हैपन एट दिस प्लेस. अग्रीड? तो यही सेम चीज है बट एटमॉस्फेयर में. यहाँ पर तेरा इन्वर्जन था, मतलब टेम्परेचर बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गया तो डेंसिटी क्या हो गई? कम हो गई. सो हाई टू लो, हाई टू लो, हाई टू लो, एक्सेप्शनली लो, तो टोटल इंटरनल रिफ्रैक्शन रेंज बढ़ गई. इजी. अब यहाँ पे क्या है? यहाँ पे नॉर्मल था, लैप्स रेट की वजह से इधर हाई हो गया, तो लो टू हाई हो गया. लो टू हाई, इट विल बेंड टुवर्ड्स द नॉर्मल. समझा?
हाँ क्लियर, अब क्लियर हो गया.
इतना आसान है. एनी डाउट्स? एनी डाउट्स? ओके. Now I will be teaching emission designators. This is the part. Acha, talking about ducting, huh? Talking about ducting. So for those who want to know what is ducting, ducting happens on VLF. Ducting happens on VLF. अच्छा यहाँ पे ना ये नोट बना लेना कि this and this, it is not ionosphere. Okay.
They are tropopause or what?
Wherever you find an inversion or a steep lapse rate, wherever. It can be anywhere. It can be at 2000 feet AGL also. It can be at 36,000 feet also. Wherever you find it. Atmosphere can do anything, no? Now go to my notes. Go to that page and see ducting comes under ionospheric propagation or non-ionospheric propagation.
Sir, ionospheric.
जोर से बोलो. जय माता दी.
Sir, ionospheric.
Ionospheric. ठीक है. Let me make a call. Okay, so ducting happens to VLF. हम लोगों ने क्या सीखा है? हम लोगों ने ये सीखा है कि जितनी कम frequency. 1 second, guys. Hello. I'll be teaching emission designators in about 5 minutes. I'm going to start in 5 minutes. This is a part of a part of syllabus. You want to join in? Okay, no issues. Okay. Okay. So ducting happens with VLF. Ducting happens to VLF. Whenever हम लोगों ने क्या सुना है? अगर मैं if I reduce the frequency, what will happen to my skip distance? Parad will tell me.
Decrease.
मुक्का मारना मैंने notes जाके देखो.
Reduce the frequency.
If I reduce the frequency, what will happen to my range, Harsh? What will happen to my skip distance?
It will increase. Reduce the frequency.
Increase.
अगर reduce करेंगे frequency तो
Frequency reduce करेगी तो skip distance
increase होगी ना.
नोट जाके देखो.
एक मिनट तो अगर reduce पढ़ा
कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं किया आकाश.
skip distance decreases
Why?
because
Critical.
frequency अगर लो होगी तो total reflection easily होगा.
जोर से बोल. नहीं आवाज नहीं आ रही. कट के आ रही है.
frequency अगर लो होगी तो
हाँ.
total internal reflection easily होगा rather than high frequency waves.
वेरी गुड. क्योंकि उसके पास वो ज्यादा बेंड हो जाएगा. सख्त लौंडा नहीं बनेगा वो. वेरी गुड. क्या समझा फराद, हर्ष?
इसको ऐसे भी रिलेट कर सकते हैं ना भैया, फ्रीक्वेंसी डिक्रीज होगा तो हमारा क्रिटिकल एंगल भी डिक्रीज हो जाएगा उस हिसाब से.
हाँ, तो आपका स्किप डिस्टेंस
डिक्रीज होगा. मैंने तो डिक्रीज बोला.
ठीक है, समझ आया हर्ष? अब वो क्रिटिकल एंगल वगैरह बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाता है. हम लोगों को क्या, अपने पायलट है, हम लोगों को चाहिए सिंपल रखनी है चीजों को. फ्रीक्वेंसी ज्यादा, जो स्काई वेव है बहुत बलशाली हो जाएगी, वो नहीं बेंड होगी. फ्रीक्वेंसी कम, वो बलशाली नहीं है, वो ज़्यादा जल्दी गिव इन कर देगी, ठीक है. But what kind of frequency is this, guys? What kind of frequency is this? This is very low frequency. So do you think this guy will bend in very easily? Yes, he will bend in very easily. And do you think he will get reflected by the Earth's surface? Yes, he can also get reflected by the Earth's surface. So I have an ducting is basically, you saw this, and a tap tube, tap tube, tap tube, tap tube. You saw this? The same thing, if this thing happens in the ionosphere, it is ducting. If the same thing happens in the ionosphere, it is ducting. Okay? So this is your ionosphere. Huh? VLF is easily refracted. So now I have an antenna. This is transmitting a wave. Now since it is VLF, so even if it goes over here, na, we thought okay sky wave comes after this angle, but इसके लिए तो critical angle बहुत छोटा हो जाएगा, तो ये यहाँ पर भी जाएगी ना, it will come back and then it will go here and it will come back and it will go here and it will come back. And these types of waves, basically what is happening between the earth and the ionosphere. This second circle that I've drawn is the ionosphere. Okay, between the earth and the ionosphere, a duct is formed. Kind of like this, a duct is formed. And when this duct is formed, these waves, they can even circle the entire earth, or they can go all around the earth, like to the other antipodal point. Okay, that is how in earlier times Morse code transmission used to take place. You used to use ducting if you want to send a message to Australia or to USA. Yes, it could have been made possible with the help of Morse code transmissions. This is what ducting is, and it can circumnavigate the entire Earth. In earlier times, there are also navigation aids called the Lorentz C and the DECA, which used to work on the VLF band, and they were basically like NDPs only, but they could circumnavigate the Earth. The waves could circumnavigate the entire Earth. Okay? Any doubts? This is all about that first chapter. Okay? We'll take a quick 2-minute break. It's 1:06. I will meet you at 1:08. Yes, Sriram?
The multi-hopping thing which we have written, it happens both in skywave and space wave.
So in skywave, if the multi-hop propagation takes place for very, very long, it is ducting only. Okay, and it can normally also happen under very, very adverse conditions. Like if you have a very, very high solar storm, which is making the ionosphere very powerful. Because when a radio wave goes to the ionosphere, Shriram, the ionosphere kind of distorts it, it attenuates it. For example, today, if you have read the newspaper, today they have issued a warning for all the satellite telecoms because of a solar storm. Has anyone gone through today's newspaper? Go through it. They have issued a warning for satellite telecommunications. There's a solar storm that is taking place, so satellite telecommunication can be hampered a lot. Okay. So Sriram, the adverse conditions, sky wave, normal sky wave, not ducting, Sriram, not ducting. Under adverse conditions, sky wave can do 2 hops max, but that is not ducting. It is multi-hop propagation. Maybe you can also understand it this way. It goes here, comes back, but now here is ocean. Ocean can act as a reflecting medium and send it back out and make another hop come. Okay, so this is under very, very low conditions that it can take place. But if I take the frequency very low into sky waves, it comes under ducting. And if I make the atmosphere one particular layer of a very high density, then ducting can take place. So VHF technically has a range of 250 nautical miles, right? Not more than that, and 250 nautical miles only when the other aircraft is at 40,000 feet, right? Arey bro, I'll tell you something. If you are doing a cross country flight, also no. If you're also doing a cross country flight and you're flying at 5,000 feet, after 60 nautical miles now, you will not be in line of sight. You will go below line of sight because after 60 nautical miles, you cannot hear him. But I'll tell you I have actually experienced this super refraction. I've actually experienced super refraction. So we were in Sioni one day. Sioni is one base of our flying school, and there's Bharati over here. It is another base of our flying school. One fine day when we were actually sitting here, so here we used to transmit on 129.25. Baramati also used to transmit on 129.25. So our range is this much, his range is this much. So no interference can take place. No station interference can take place. There is no way I can receive his words. There is no way he can receive my words. Okay? And also they both are very, very far apart. They are 356 nautical miles apart. Exactly. I've done a cross country flight. Okay? They are exactly 356 nautical miles apart. You can do the sky vector thing. Rohan. Okay? So can I ever receive any radio wave here of any aircraft over here? No. But one fine winter morning when I was there in Sioni, we were able to receive the startup of 2 Govin aircrafts from Baramati with their call signs. And we could also hear the Baramati ATC replying. And we were all shocked. Why did it happen? Because of
Refraction.
super refraction. Why did it happen? Because of super refraction. And super refraction happens when there is an inversion. And when does inversion take place? Around the entire seasonal. When are inversions the most common? किस का मेट पास है? मेट किस का पास है? इन्वर्जन सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पर होता है? कब होता है?
Winter.
Winters में होता है. Early winter mornings, you have the strongest inversions. Now, did you understand why it was a winter morning? And why did I explicitly mention it was a winter morning? So, across a region of 200 to 300 nautical miles, nautical miles, this inversion should exist. Only then it is possible. Okay? We'll take a quick 2-minute break, and after that we'll meet and discuss emission designators. Okay? It is 1:11 right now. We'll meet at 1:13 or 14. आ जाओ सारे. अरे शुरू आड़ू थोड़ी सी. sending you guys something. Have a look. 11 radio navigation. आप लोगों को ये पूरी चार्ट याद रखनी है. There's 2 minutes. Huh? I'll be back. Welcome back, guys. There is a storm coming towards us. बहुत गंदा. आ जाओ सारे. किन किन लोगों ने वो देखा? किन किन लोगों ने वो देखा जो मैंने ग्रुप पे भेजा? अनम्यूट करके बताओ यार. कुछ समझ
Yes.
आया? क्या समझ आया? Very good. और क्या क्या समझ आया? वंदना, आकाश, आप लोगों को क्या समझ आया?
Not so much.
हैं?
Not so much. इतना नहीं समझ में आया कुछ.
मेरी जान, आपकी आवाज़ पता नहीं आती नहीं है, कट कट के आती है.
इतना नहीं समझ में आया कुछ. बस थोड़ा थोड़ा ही है. वो कितने बताया? वो भी थोड़ा सा ही है.
तो इसका इजी वाला वर्जन भी देखो. वंदना, आपको क्या समझ आया?
वही वो अल्फा 3 वाली चैप्टर था.
ठीक है. So now let us understand what do you mean by emission designators. What do we mean by emission designators? ठीक है, let's start. Emission का मतलब होता है कि कोई चीज emit करना. To emit, emission means to emit. Now any given antenna, रोहन ध्यान बनाए, any given antenna will emit something. Yes, and that radio wave will have certain characteristics. That radio wave will have certain characteristics. चलो देखते हैं इन्हीं characteristics के बारे में. I have to understand, and I am making a 3-letter code out of it. Three places का alphanumeric code. The first letter will be an alphabet, the second letter will be a number, the third place will be again a letter. And when I take account of all of these three things, हम मेरे को समझ आ जाता है कि whatever emission is there, what is the kind, what is the modulation, what is the type, what is the purpose of this emission. Okay, so now emission designators are basically तीन खाने हैं जो मेरे को एक emission के बारे में बताते हैं. About any emission, I want certain information, and there is only 3 types of information that I want about any given type of transmission. Firstly, I want to know what is the type of modulation. Okay, let's say I'm receiving a radio wave and it is a modulated signal. Okay, to first decipher it, I need to understand what has been changed in the radio wave, right? Should I pay attention to the amplitude of the carrier wave? Should I pay attention to the frequency of the carrier wave? If it is amplitude modulated, I should be paying attention to the amplitude of the carrier wave. If it is frequency modulated, I should be paying attention to the frequency of the carrier wave, right? If it is phase modulated, I should be paying attention to the phase of the carrier wave. So I need to understand that first. Now the type of modulation. If there is any wave, okay, I'll make it very simple for you. If there is any wave which has undergone amplitude modulation, you will know it. How will you know it? You will know it कि वहाँ पर A लिखा हुआ रहेगा. If there is no modulation, then N will be written. No modulation. If A is written, that means the wave has been amplitude modulated. Now leave 2 spaces, 2 lines of space over here. Okay, and then write like, okay, I left 1, 2. Now write the third one. If it has been frequency modulated, the word F will be written. If it has been pulse modulated, P will be written. P for pulse. But now you will ask me, sir, P is also for phase. No, sir. P is also for phase. I will say no, buddy. P is not for phase, because phase is all curvy and everything, right? Phase has a lot of curves. Phase has a lot of curves. So, which is the most curviest letter? The curviest letter is golf, G. So, G is for phase modulation. Now, understand, when I was teaching you amplitude modulation, under amplitude modulation, the wave could have been transmitted by sending all the sidebands. Yes, I could have sent all the sidebands. Vandana, have you done this portion? No. Sidebands वाला portion आपने किया था? क्लास में नहीं किया था, वीडियो देखी थी?
हाँ ठीक।
क्या होते हैं साइडबैंड?
उसमें डाउट है।
एम्पलीट्यूड मॉड्यूलेशन क्या होता है?
Amplitude modulation change in amplitude in the carrier wave according to the amplitude in the modulating wave.
वेरी गुड यार वंदना, वेरी गुड. जो डाउट है मेरे को बताना, ठीक है? विल सॉल्व इट. सो अब साइड बैंड होता है ना, इतना समझ गई ना कि एक अपर साइड बैंड होता है, लोअर साइड बैंड होता है, बीच में कैरियर वेव होती है, इतना पता है ना? एंड मैं आधा कर सकता हूँ उसको. आई कैन टेक अवे वन. हाँ बता.
स्क्रॉल अप थोड़ा सा.
स्क्रॉल अप है. ओके, सो नाउ एक सेकंड यार, लेट मी कंप्लीट, देन टेक द पीडीएफ ओनली लेटर. ठीक है. So now, अब अगर मैं amplitude modulation कर रहा हूँ, if I am doing amplitude modulation and I am sending both the sidebands, then it is gonna be called A, double sideband. But instead of sending the double sideband, I am only sending the single sideband. It becomes H or J. It can either be H or J. So as I told you, when we are getting it, we are getting three things. When we are modulating it, we are getting three things. We are getting the carrier wave, we are getting the upper sideband, we are getting the lower sideband, right? I can reduce the bandwidth. I can reduce the bandwidth. Ujjwal, were you there in master class of modulation?
Yeah, you were mentioning about bulk modulation, phase modulation.
Okay, great. So now we are doing emission designators, and emission designators are basically group of three characters which tell us a lot about the emission characteristics. What is emission characteristics? Any wave that comes out of a transmitter, that means it is basically emitted out of a transmitter. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, Ujjwal, how do you read?
One second, there is some network glitch.
Okay. I'm just continuing with the topic. Okay, I'll cover this for you later on. Okay, everyone. So अब अगर मैं अपर साइड बैंड है, मेरे पास कैरियर वेव भी और मेरे पास लोअर साइड बैंड भी, I have three of them. Now I want all of you to open Oxford and read H. Read the word H. Harsh will read it for me. Harsh, read it out.
पूरा निकाले
क्या
ऑक्सफोर्ड निकालना पड़ेगा, एक मिनट।
तूने ग्रुप नहीं चेक किया क्या?
ग्रुप हाँ वो जो अभी भेजे वो
हाँ, ये वाला, ये ऑक्सफोर्ड का है, ठीक है? ये वाला जो है, ये वाला ऑक्सफोर्ड का है, ठीक है? ये वाला, अरे यार रुक जा, ये वाला ऑक्सफोर्ड का है, ठीक है?
एम्पलीट्यूड मॉड्यूलेशन सिंगल साइड बैंड।
आगे पढ़ो।
सेकंड सिंबल पढ़ना है।
आगे पूरा लिखा होगा, एच एच क्या लिखा होगा?
एम्पलीट्यूड मॉड्यूलेशन सिंगल साइड बैंड, single channel connecting quantized or digital information with the use of
बाबा फुल कैरियर, एच क्या लिखा हुआ है? फुल कैरियर लिखा हुआ है ना?
फुल कैरियर लिखा हुआ।
मेरी जान तो वो क्यों नहीं पढ़ा?
देखेंगे। हाँ,
आधी इन्फॉर्मेशन पढ़ो कि सामने दी गई है इन्फॉर्मेशन। इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है, out of these two side bands I am only sending the upper side band, but I am also sending the carrier, wave. Okay, Ujjwal, check group. Okay, now I want Vandana to read J.
Amplitude modulation, single sideband, suspended carrier.
Suspended?
Suppressed
carrier मतलब हम लोगों ने कैरियर वेव भी हटा दी। हम लोग we are only transmitting the upper side band. So we had a power curve. Mute कर ले। तो we had the carrier wave band, we had the upper side band, and we also had the lower side band. So now if we are transmitting all of them, it is going to be alpha. If we are transmitting only the upper side band along with the carrier wave, it is going to be hotel, H. If we are not transmitting the carrier wave and we are only transmitting the upper side band, it is going to be Juliet, J. Okay, so H is amplitude modulation plus carrier wave. This is single sideband. Amplitude modulation, single sideband without carrier wave. Carrier wave नहीं है, no carrier wave. It is that simple. समझ आ गया सब लोगों को? Now I took out the modulation. I understood the modulation. I've received a wave. This first letter is telling me about the type of modulation. Now I am a receiver. I have received the wave. I know what type of modulation it is. Now this information that I have got, let's say I got the type of modulation, I demodulated it. But I got some information. Now how will I process this information? To process this information, I should know whether it is an analog information or it is a digital information, or does it have any information at all or no? If it does not have any information, then the letter 0 will be there. So what is the second letter telling us? The second letter is telling us the nature of the information, or the nature of the modulating signal. The nature of the modulating signal. ओके, मैं इसको लूंगा एंड मैं इसको थोड़ा छोटा कर दूंगा इधर. So the next thing we need to study is the nature of the modulating signal. If there is no modulation, basically, if there is, one second, where did it go? If there is no modulating signal, there is no intelligence carried. There is no intelligence carried forward, then it's got to be 0. No modulating wave, no information. Okay. Now, information can be digital and information can be analog. If the information is analog, basically it's like a waveform. And if the information is digital, it is basically did da, and all of those things. Basically ones and zeros and ones and zeros and ones and zeros and ones and zeros. Right? There can be digital information, there can be analog information. These are the only different two types of information that is there. So now let us have a look. If there is digital information, it can be 1, I can put it as 2. Or I can put it as 7. Now, if it is analog information, matlab something like a waveform, audio or video, anything like that, which is not digital information, I can use it as 3 or I can use it as 8. Okay. अब आप बोलोगे ठीक है, अब सर आपने तो बता दिया that anywhere you have 2 or 1, 2 or 7, it is digital information. So what is the difference, sir? What is the difference, sir? So here you have digital information. Remember everyone, whenever we had keyed modulation, so इसमें कोई भी मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव है? नहीं ना. इसमें हम लोगों ने तो कैरियर वेव को we have done break. Is there any modulating wave? No. So this is containing digital information, but we do not have we have no modulating wave. So it's got to be 1. But let's say, Vandana, what if you have a carrier wave? Vandana has a carrier wave and we are not breaking the carrier wave. Okay, we are not breaking the carrier wave. It is a nice little carrier wave, but instead of this, we are doing amplitude modulation to this wave. Instead of it, we are doing amplitude modulation to this wave. So, certain distance, the amplitude is very high for this much amount of time. Then it is amplitude is very high for a short time. Then amplitude is very high for a long time. Then amplitude is again very short. So basically, when it is being received by an antenna, again, just like that transmission, is Morse code being given? Yes, Morse code is being given, dash dot dash dot. See, but now what kind of information is this, guys? Is this digital information or analog information? This is still digital information only. But is there a modulating wave present? Is there a modulating wave present? Yes, there was amplitude modulation that happened. Okay, if the waveform is like this, if the waveform is like this, then it will be called as a number one type. There is no modulating wave. There is intermittent carrier. There is an intermittent carrier with breaks. Over here, there is a modulating wave. They both are transmitting digital information only. So there is a plus a modulating wave. But what is 7, 7, 7 and 8 now? They're all BAP level things. That means there are more number of channels. There is a channel to receive, there is a channel to transmit, two-way comms. Okay, at the same time, duplex type of system. रेडियो में क्या होता है? मान लो if I am talking to Rohan on the radio, I can speak at one point of time to Rohan, and when I am speaking to Rohan, can Rohan speak back to me? No. That means we have only one channel. But if I'm talking to him on a mobile phone, if I say something and at the same time he says something, I will be able to receive him and he will also be able to receive me. There are two different channels, one for transmitting, one for receiving. दोनों अलग अलग, they won't get merged. So there are more number of channels. Whenever you're sending digital information, but there are more number of channels, 2 or more channels, it is 7. So the image that I've sent you of the Oxford image, sent you in the group, I want you guys to read 1, 2 and 7.
1 and 2 का difference एक बार फिर से बता दो।
भाई देख, ये दोनों में तो देख रहे हैं, इसमें वाले में तेरा इंटरमिटेंट कैरियर है, तो कोई मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव है इसमें? नहीं ना, कैरियर वेव को तूने काट काट के डाला है, तो कोई मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव है ही नहीं। इसमें भी तूने क्वांटाइज्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है। क्वांटाइज्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन का मतलब क्या होता है? बिट्स एंड पीसेस। क्वांटाइज्ड which is consists of quants, either ones and zeros, quants, right? Without the use of a modulating subcarrier. That means without the use of a modulating wave. But here, this can only happen, you can amplitude modulate something only when a modulating wave is there. Right? Okay. So let's say the wave would have been like this. The modulating wave would have been like this. कंप्यूटर में तो ऐसे ही होता है ना, बिट्स। तो ये आपकी मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव होगी, जिसने इसको मॉड्यूलेट किया होगा। ठीक है, अब 2 पढ़ो। 2 क्या कह रहा है? सिंगल चैनल ही है, डिजिटल इंफॉर्मेशन, क्वांटाइज्ड और डिजिटल इंफॉर्मेशन सेम, विद द यूज ऑफ अ मॉड्यूलेटिंग कैरियर। एक में विदाउट है, एक में विथ है। एक में विथ मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव, एक में विदाउट मॉड्यूलेटिंग वेव। नाउ गो टू 7. Same thing, quantized या digital information only, but 2 or more channels. ठीक है, easy हो गया, good. Now let us go to 3 and 8. 3 क्या है? Analog information, simple analog, single channel. Then we have analog information, double channel or 2 or more channels. So now coming to voice communication. हम लोग जब रेडियो पे बात करते हैं, मैंने जैसे बोला, अगर मैं पीटीटी दबा के बात कर रहा हूँ और सिर्फ रोहन मेरी बात सुन सकता, तब और अगर रोहन ने कुछ बोला, आरटी जैम हो जाएगा, एक टाइम पे एक ही चैनल काम करेगी, इसीलिए वॉइस कम्युनिकेशन VHF कॉम्स का मैंने आपको जो एमिशन डेजिग्नेटर बताया था उसमें whenever I taught you VHF comms का emission designator there was 3 inside there because it is single channel only. Okay, Harsh, you had a doubt?
एक्सक्लूडिंग टाइम डिवीजन मल्टीप्लेक्स क्या है?
Including
एक्सक्लूडिंग टाइम डिवीजन मल्टीप्लेक्स.
excluding time division multiplex यार वो कंप्यूटर साइंस किस किस का था 12th में? मल्टीप्लेक्सर सुना है क्या होता है? मल्टीप्लेक्सर
हाँ सुना है.
वो क्या करता है? वो बहुत सारे चैनल्स को एक चैनल के अंदर डालता है,
कन्वर्ट कर देता हूँ.
समझा? तो वो मक्स के बारे में बात कर रहा है. बट
अच्छा,
क्या अपने को उतने कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी में जाना है क्या भाई? बिल्कुल नहीं जाना है, समझा? बिल्कुल नहीं जाना है. ये जो मैं बता रहा हूँ ना ये भी एग्जाम में नहीं आएगा, ये बहुत डेप्थ है. मक्स वक्स में मत जा. इट्स टॉकिंग अबाउट टाइम डिवीजन मल्टीप्लेक्स. इट्स अबाउट अ मल्टीप्लेक्सर. आकाश, एक्चुअली ये मक्स नहीं डीमक्स होगा टेक्निकली. इट वोंट बी अ मक्स, इट विल बी अ डीमक्स. ठीक है, 2 और मोर चैनल्स. ठीक है, कोई डाउट? अब अगर 9 है, 9 मीन्स इनमें से किसी का भी कॉम्बिनेशन 1 + 3, 3 + 7. 9 में देखो कॉम्पोजिट सिस्टम. कॉम्पोजिट मीन्स मर्ज्ड containing one or more channels of quantized information along with something of analog. किसी एक चीज का एनालॉग, किसी एक चीज का डिजिटल, किसी चीज का एनालॉग, किसी एक चीज का डिजिटल. Most of your navigation aids are either 8 or 9. Why? For example, VOR. Ujjwal, why is a VOR? Why does it have the 9 thing? Because a VOR can also include voice broadcast of an ATIS. An analog information containing, that is a single channel which is giving you analog information. Then you have another channel which is throwing the ident on a frequency of 1020 hertz modulated, which is digital information, 2 of the second type. So it's a combination of 2 and 8. That is why the case of a VOR we write alpha 9 of whiskey. Okay, so this is something that इन लोगों के माथे के ऊपर से जाएगा, बट आप ये चीज समझ सकते हो. दैट इज व्हाई आई वेंट इनटू अ लिटिल बिट मोर डेप्थ. ठीक है, सो अल्फा 9 मींस कॉम्पोजिट. कोई डाउट? कोई डाउट? समझ बात? एनी डाउट्स? Now let us understand the third one. The third one is about the purpose. Okay, so now the wave came. I understood, okay, this is the type of modulation. I demodulated it. Good. Now what kind of information I demodulated? What is the type of information? Do I process this as digital information? Do I process this as analog information? Okay, now you know I have to process this as analog, this is as this digital. Okay, now I have the information. But now is this information an audio, a video, a text, or Morse code? What is it? उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. The type of information. If there is no information, again you will put N. No information. Always remember, if here you have 0, if here you have 0, you will always have N here by default. If there is no modulating wave, that means there is no carrier. That means that there is no information only. So, okay. Yes, Akash, tell me.
Sir, we left one when carrier turn. This is not otherwise covered. No.
Yeah, better.
We left one, like number 10, cases not otherwise covered.
हाँ तो यार ये जो कॉम्प्लेक्स सिस्टम्स अगर तुमने खुद का कुछ बनाया हुआ है, ये कुछ किया हुआ है, तो उसके लिए दिस इज फॉर एविएशन पर्पस, इन्हीं में से आएगा कुछ ना कुछ। जैसे एक्स वो हो गया, केसेस नॉट अदर, N0X G1D किसका था? देयर वाज वन, आई विल टेल यू कौन सा था। हाँ, माइक्रोवेव लैंडिंग सिस्टम। So if you look, microwave landing system is N0X G1D. That is the my designator. So microwave throws a scanning beam and up and below like this, and then you calculate the time difference of the scanning beam, and then you make something out of it. So that is some. So it's basically something that is not carrying information. You're not carrying information in a microwave beam, but you're basically measuring a time difference. It is somewhere between a radar and an ILS, and you cannot actually precisely define it. So ऐसे केसेस में एक, हाँ, एक डिप्लोमेटिक भी तो चाहिए ना कि भाई हाँ, अगर हम तुम उसको इस चीज से एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पा रहे तो जा एक्स चिपका दे। ठीक है, अभी के लिए जितना मैं बता रहा हूँ दैट इज मोर देन इनफ फॉर योर नैव एग्जाम, मोर देन इनफ, वे मोर देन इनफ। ठीक है, so if it is n, that means no information is being transmitted. ठीक है, अब टेली कम्युनिकेशन सबको पता है क्या होती है? टेली कम्युनिकेशन इन टेली मीन्स फार ऑफ, कम्युनिकेशन मीन्स टू कम्युनिकेट, राइट? अब टेली कम्युनिकेशन 3 अलग टाइप से हो सकती है। सब लोग व्हाट्सएप यूज करते हैं, हाथ उठाओ। व्हाट्सएप क्यों इतना सक्सेसफुल है? वो इसीलिए इतना सक्सेसफुल है बिकॉज व्हाट्सएप पे आप चैट कर सकते हो, व्हाट्सएप पे आप बात कर सकते हो, व्हाट्सएप पे आप वीडियो कॉल कर सकते हो, जैसे अभी रोहन कर रहे हैं, राइट? नाउ ये 3 चीजें 3 अलग अलग फॉर्म ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन है। अगर आप व्हाट्सएप पे चैट कर रहे हो, यू आर सेंडिंग ग्राफिकल कैरेक्टर्स फ्रॉम ए टू बी, ग्राफिकल कैरेक्टर्स, टेक्स्ट ABCD एक्सक्लेमेशन मार्क इक्वल टू व्हाटएवर। टेलीग्राफ, अगर आप ऑडियो पे बात कर, व्हाट्सएप पे कॉल पे बात कर रहे हो, तो व्हाट इज इट? इट इज टेलीफोनी। टेली लॉन्ग डिस्टेंसेस, फोनी मीन्स ऑडियो। अगर आप वीडियो कॉल पे बात कर रहे हो तो दैट बिकम्स टेलीविजन, यू आर सीइंग समवन ओवर लॉन्ग डिस्टेंसेस। व्हाट्सएप इज डूइंग ऑल ऑफ दीज 3 थिंग्स, राइट? दैट इज व्हाई इट इज सक्सेसफुल, राइट? देयर इज वन मोर थिंग फॉर ऑल दीज पीपल हु हैव एन आईफोन। यहाँ पे एक तो छोटू सा स्कैनर होता है, ये छोटा सा, एक छोटा बिंदु देखकर, ये नए वालों में आया है। दिस इज कॉल्ड अ लाइडार स्कैनर। ये बेसिकली क्या करता है? इट मेजर कि भाई तुम्हारा वो चीज कितना दूर है और वो बताता है। तो अब इन लोगों के में इसमें ऐप आ चुका है दैट यू कैन यूज योर सम डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम हियर टू हियर, है ना? देखा होगा, रील्स में देखा होगा। तो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? मेजरिंग समथिंग ओवर लॉन्ग डिस्टेंसेस, टेलीमेट्री। टेलीमेट्री, ओके? रिमोट, I'll turn the AC on. Telecommand. Telecommand. Works. तो अब अगर कहीं पे भी आप टेक्स्ट फॉर्म को ट्रांसमिट हो रहे हैं, तो यहाँ पर आ ए फॉर टेलीग्राफी, E is for telephony. दैट इज वाई इन वॉइस कम्युनिकेशन आपको क्या बोला जाता है? अल्फा 3 एको A3E। उसमें मतलब क्या? एम्पलीट्यूड मॉड्यूलेट हो रहा है, कैरियर वेव इज बीइंग एम्पलीट्यूड मॉड्यूलेटेड विथ योर वॉइस। व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन इट इज? इट इज एन एनालॉग इंफॉर्मेशन। एंड व्हाट इज इट फॉर? व्हाट इज द टाइप ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन? इट इज फॉर टेलीफोनी, for me and you to listen. Does it make sense now? अल्फा 3 एको। अगर फैक्स करना है, फैक्स क्या हो गया? फैक्स पता है क्या होता है? पहले के ज़माने में ना पेजर आते थे, पेजर से आप एक दूसरे को मैसेजेस भेज सकते थे। इफ़ यू फॉलो मार्वल, तो वो मार्वल में भी वो कैप्टन मार्वल को वो पेजर से मैसेज भेजता था, राइट? तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ, अब तुमको अगर इफ़ यू हैव टू ट्रांसमिट अ लॉट ऑफ सेक्स लॉट ऑफ टेक्स्ट, पार्डन मी, you have to transmit a lot of text over long distance and you want it to be printed at the same time, it becomes fax. And like early on you used to have pager के numbers, फिर fax के भी numbers आने लग जाते हैं, ठीक है? So if the transmission is for fax, it will be C. If it is for telemetry, it is D. If it is for telephony, it is E. And if it is for television, it is F. So now, if I have any combination of these, I will call it whiskey. W. Composite system. Okay? So now, VOR has alpha 8 whiskey, alpha 9 whiskey. ILS has alpha 8 whiskey. Why is that so? Because over there you are doing telemetry. You are measuring an angle. You are measuring the deviation from the center line. So it's telemetry. Also you are transmitting a ident. So that is telegraphy. It is a combination. That is why whiskey. Same goes for ILS, same goes for VOR. Understand? That is all about emission designators. Any doubt?
What is the difference between oral and automatic reception?
Oral reception and automatic reception. कैसे समझा इसको? पर्पस अलग है कहने का मतलब, अगर देखो तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल 1 to 1.5 is an emergency frequency. It is always being monitored by majority of the ATS stations. उन्होंने एक separate radio दिया. So a transmission for on 1 to 1.5 will always be automatically received because it's an emergency frequency. Nowadays the newer circuits of these radios now, they are employing a circuitry. Even if you haven't tuned 1 to 1.5, you will receive it and it will come out of the speaker. So then it becomes an automatic reception. The purpose is different, that is it. That means if it something has to be automatically received, its priority goes up. That is it. For the purpose of exam, for the purpose of radio navigation, you will never encounter B. Yes, Sriram.
What's non-A1A and correction non-alpha 1 alpha for radio? What the non and the prefix means?
Firstly, we all make this mistake that we call it non. It's not non. It's N0N A1A and N0N A2A. Okay. The same thing, the very same thing which I explained to you over here. The very same thing which I explained to you over here. You know. This thing I explained to you, right? And I also explained to you it can also be transmitted as this, right? So this is of the 1 type and this is of the 2 type. So this is the A1A signal. Because why A? This A, because you are doing telegraphy. and this is the 2 type of signal, so it becomes A2A. And both of these have an amplitude modulation happening. This is also amplitude modulated, this is also amplitude modulated. So now Sriram's question is, what is the N0N part? N0N part, so now the NDB or any navigation it is not continuously transmitting its identity. It's not continuously doing this. I transmits, then it is transmitting the normal NDB wave. After 10 seconds, he will again interrupt it and he will put its ident. Ident 1, again transmit my own wave. So it is transmitting both. It is transmitting the ident as well and the normal wave as well. So the normal wave for an NDB does not carry any modulation. So that is the N0N part. When it transmits its ident, it is the either A1A part or the A2A part, whichever according to the NDB it is transmitting. So that is why the emission designators can also be 6 letters. Because an antenna, because of its circuitry, can transmit 2 different types of signals. For some time, it can transmit an N0N signal. For the other times, it can transmit an A1 signal. This topic will be touched in more depth under the NDB chapter. Okay? Any doubts? No? We will be doing another chapter, and then you will have a complete test of 100 questions on the basics of radio navigation. We will be doing 2 more chapters, antennas and Doppler systems. After these 2 chapters are done, we will be starting off with navigation aids. Okay, so we will have 2 more days. I want you guys to tell me all the doubts that you have. Read your notes, read Oxford if you can, read any book that you have. If you want to read Bali, read Bali. If you want to read Oxford as an extra, read it. First, go through the notes. First, go through your notes, class note. Then go through the notes that I have sent you, TR Radio Navigation Notes PDF. Then, if you want and you want to spend time with other books, you can use Oxford and RK Bali. And you can ask me doubts. If you want to solve any questions on your own, please do it. We will also be sending you a few questions and taking your exams. Okay? Please keep the studies going. Works? That is all for today. If you have any doubts, please tell me. No?
And for the exam point of view, we should remember the navigation aids emission designator alone, or all these four?
Absolutely. You should remember the navigation aids emission designator, and you should be able to understand and explain what do each and every letter of that navigation aid mean. Okay? Nothing else. So if you open the TR radio navigation notes onto page 22, you will see it. Emission designators for different navigators. When we study the navigation aids, these will या आपके दिमाग में ऑटोमेटिकली रट जाएंगे, बट जितना पहले से ही उसको पढ़ लो तो उतना बेटर. ठीक है? कोई डाउट? कोई डाउट? No.
Once again, can you say the 10 and I will write it down?
But it will come in ADF and NDP, don't worry.
Okay.
You don't need it at the moment. It is a very big part of the NDB ADF topic and a very important part. I will teach it then. Okay, it's not something that is a part of this chapter. If I teach it to you right now, everyone will get confused. Maybe you might be able to get it, but सबके ऊपर से जाएगा, फिर फट जाएगी सबकी. ठीक है? Akash, Rohan, Ankit, any doubts? Anushka, Khushi?